Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I will be sharing my stories with you all. Some will be real happenings and others will be creative. It is up to you to decide which to believe. Jessica had always felt like there was something missing in her life. She had grown up with her Aunt Margaret, who had taken care of her since she was a baby. Her parents had died in a car crash when she was just a few months old, and Margaret had stepped in to raise her. Jessica had always known that Margaret wasn't her real mother, but she had never really questioned it. As she grew up, Jessica felt like she was just an average person. She did well in school, but she wasn't a genius. She had a few friends, but she wasn't the most popular girl in school. She was just normal. But on her 18th birthday, everything changed. Margaret had taken her out to dinner at a fancy restaurant to celebrate, and as they were leaving, they were attacked by a group of werewolves. Jessica had never been so scared in her life, but something inside her had awakened, and she had fought back with a strength and agility she never knew she had. After the attack, Margaret had sat her down and told her the truth. Jessica was a hybrid, half witch and half were-panther. Margaret was her mother's sister and had been tasked with raising her after her parents' death. She had kept Jessica's true nature a secret from her until she was old enough to understand and protect herself. Jessica was stunned by the revelation. She had so many questions, but Margaret could only tell her so much. She gave her a book about witchcraft and panther shifting and told her to study it. She also warned her that there were others out there who would want to harm her because of what she was. For the next few years, Jessica threw herself into her studies. She practiced magic and learned to control her shifting abilities. She also discovered that she had a talent for potion making and began to experiment with different ingredients to create powerful potions. Despite her newfound abilities, Jessica felt alone. She had never had a boyfriend, and she didn't really know anyone else like her. She had tried to make friends with other witches and were-panthers, but she never felt like she fit in. As her 23rd birthday approached, Jessica felt more and more isolated. She had always thought that she would find her mate by now, but it hadn't happened. She had tried going on a few dates with normal guys, but they never lasted long once she revealed her true nature. On the day of her birthday, Jessica woke up feeling down. She didn't feel like celebrating, but Margaret insisted on throwing her a party. She invited all of Jessica's friends from school and some of her own witch and panther acquaintances. At the party, Jessica felt out of place. Everyone else seemed to be having a good time, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong. She was about to sneak away to her room when someone tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around to see a tall, handsome man with piercing green eyes. He introduced himself as Lucas and said that he had heard about her from some mutual friends. He was also a hybrid, half witch and half werewolf, and he had been searching for his mate for years. Jessica couldn't believe it. She had never met anyone else like her, let alone someone who could be her mate. They talked for hours, and Jessica felt like she had finally found someone who understood her. As the party wound down, Lucas took Jessica by the hand and led her outside. He told her that he had been waiting for her for so long and that he knew she was the one for him. Jessica felt like she was dreaming. Lucas leaned in and kissed her softly, and Jessica felt a connection she had never felt before. She knew that Lucas was her mate and that they were meant to be together. From that moment on, Jessica and Lucas were inseparable. They spent every moment they could together, exploring their shared abilities and learning more about each other. They discovered that they had a rare connection, not just as hybrids, but as soulmates. Margaret was thrilled to see her niece so happy and welcomed Lucas into their home with open arms. She had always worried about Jessica's safety, but with Lucas by her side, she felt like she could finally relax. But their happiness was short-lived. One night, as they were walking through the woods, they were attacked by a group of rogue werewolves. Lucas was badly injured, and Jessica had to use all of her powers to defend them. It was a wake-up call for Jessica and Lucas. They knew they couldn't let their guard down, and that they had to be ready for anything. They began to train harder, not just to protect themselves, but to protect their families and friends. As they prepared for the inevitable battles ahead, Jessica and Lucas also began to plan for their future. They talked about getting married and starting a family, but they knew that it wouldn't be easy. They would have to navigate the dangers of their world and find a way to raise their children in a way that kept them safe. but they were determined to make it work. With each other by their side, Jessica and Lucas felt like they could overcome any obstacle. They were hybrids, witches, and panthers, but most importantly, they were soulmates, and nothing could ever break the bond they had formed. As Jessica and Lucas continued to train and prepare for the dangers ahead, they realized that they couldn't do it alone. They needed allies, and they knew that there were others like them out there. They began to reach out to other hybrids, witches, and werewolves, and slowly but surely, they began to build a community. It wasn't easy at first, as many were skeptical of their intentions, but Jessica's leadership and Lucas's strength convinced others to join them. As the pack grew, they faced new challenges. There were power struggles and disagreements, but Jessica and Lucas worked hard to keep the peace and ensure that everyone was treated fairly. One day, as they were gathering for a meeting, Jessica was approached by a group of elders. They had heard of her leadership skills and wanted to offer her a position as the queen of the hybrids. Jessica was taken aback by the offer, but she knew that it was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. She accepted the position, and with Lucas by her side, she began to lead the hybrids with wisdom and compassion. As Jessica became the queen of the hybrids, Lucas was named the king of the werewolves. Together they ruled over their combined pack, creating a new era of peace and prosperity. They worked tirelessly to create a safe haven for their people, a place where they could live and thrive without fear of persecution. They trained their pack to be strong and united, teaching them to use their powers for good and to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. As the years passed, Jessica and Lucas's pack grew stronger and more unified. They welcomed new members from all walks of life, and their reputation as fair and just leaders spread far and wide. However, their success didn't come without its challenges. They faced opposition from those who sought to tear them down, and there were times when their own people rebelled against their leadership. Through it all, Jessica and Lucas remained steadfast in their commitment to their people. They fought for what they believed in, and they never gave up on their vision of a better future. As they looked out over their thriving pack, with their children and grandchildren by their side, they knew that they had succeeded. They had created a world where hybrids, witches, and werewolves could live together in harmony, and they had built a legacy that would last for generations to come.